Or I
So
want
it's
to see that
finding a
bulge or woo.
cartoon attractive. It's not being Mint right now, who's dressed up as Sonic.
No.
Is that
Costuming
furry
ain't
adjacent?
it. No.
How is that not
Even if
furry
that was like a
adjacent?
fox Kiku, that wouldn't be furry.
Hello, everybody. This is RMTS. I don't even remember what number it is because it's been way too fucking long. Life has gotten chaotic. Furless, how have you been, bud? Because
I've
it's been a while.
been very tired. The first thing's like, oh yeah, he just doesn't have his face cam, just can't show him drinking G Fuel or any of that stuff. New World relaunched, and because of that, I have been playing like 12 hours of games a day for a month straight. So I don't want. I'm too ugly. Don't look at me.
Honestly,
Nice.
man, I think it's just like you're trying to protect yourself from all the dumb comments about dog collar, dog collar. I think
No,
I think you're just trying to protect yourself.
especially not with Mint here. She's like the only person that was like, oh, I like it. It's cool.
It
I
is
know, I just
cool.
think it's funny.
See, that would be like my motivation. But no, I'm that ugly right now. I slept like
Oh, I
4
feel you.
hours for this podcast. Fuck.
I've had like maybe 12 hours of sleep in the past 5 days. See, it's not been a fun time. I'm going through absolute hell. I can't go into all of it, but I do want to say one thing. Anybody who has openly supported me in whether it's personal stuff or content wise, thank you. Um, a lot of the shit that I've been dealing with has gotten a hell of a lot worse. I've been told to kill myself and everything else. So thank you, because all of you guys are the reason why I'm still here. So I wanted to start off with that and say, fuck you. I'm not going to shut up. I'm going to keep talking.
Thank you for not killing yourself.
Exactly. Well, I was told that they wished my suicide attempt went through. So, big
Ooh.
things.
Oh.
Yeah. Never a positive time. But on that note, also started my mental health podcast that is now called the Lonely Road Podcast. If you want to talk mental health or anything like that, go check that shit out. Mint, how have you been? It's been like 9 months since you've been on. So how's everything going?
It's been pretty good. I'm really developing a flow for the daily movie reviews. Consistently, instead of like from 9 months ago, I was maybe 4 days ahead at any given point. Now I'm about like 2 weeks ahead at any
Wow.
given point.
Nice. God damn.
So
Yeah, just hearing that as a content creator, I'm like, that is a comfortable place to be, especially with me, like gaming, you don't really get that. So the game comes out and then you're behind, and the second you get ahead, another game comes out.
Yep.
oh yeah, there's like a bunch of games that release. Do they all release at around the same time or are they staggered?
Always. Always.
It's
It's
stupid.
always
Yeah.
it's always November and then it's always March.
Well,
Everything else
also
during
even
the
like a
year is shit.
random game drop, like with this New World Eternum came out in the middle of October, so it's like okay, I guess that's happening. But then Throne and Liberty, another MMO, came out like 2 weeks before that. I wasn't playing Throne and Liberty, but it means like, oh, now the game I want to play is losing like people that want to play it to another game. So there's competition, random games dropping all the time. It's different.
That
At
sounds
least you're in flow though.
stressful.
Yeah, it is. That's why I can't have a camera, but at least your like flow sounds awesome. I'm happy to hear when creators are just vibing and getting shit done.
Yeah, it's real nice. And
It's
especially
weird to
the
be ahead
spooky
like that.
season.
Mm-hmm.
Spooky season's great.
Yeah,
Bunch of
it's weird
costumes.
actually it's weird actually being in like this mood of the season and actually having things to put things up and everything else. I
Yeah,
feel like a white girl right now. It's been a lot of fun. Got all the
it is.
pumpkin spice and everything else.
Oh, I'm eating a
I
pumpkin pie right now.
ooh nice. I carved 3 pumpkins this season. And the last time I carved any pumpkins before that was probably 10 years ago. So
My
I have
last
those.
pumpkins I carved were like maybe 7 years ago, 6 years ago, something like that.
Hmm.
And I
Oh.
carved my entire family's set of pumpkins because after the first 5 minutes, all of our autistic asses were like, I don't like the way this feels. Dad, do it.
Mm.
It
And
is
that was
feels weird.
fun and not fun. Yeah.
I don't get the
Ugh.
texture of the goo. Like, why is it like that?
Yeah, it doesn't make any fucking sense. Why is it like spider webs, but not like spider webs all at the same time?
Nah.
And it's so hard to scrape off the inside of the pumpkin. It just stays there. It's like no matter how many times I scrape, it just keeps on producing more of that gunk, and it's like Is this infinite?
The weird
It
thing
almost
about that
is.
shit is I don't know if you guys heard this, but my mom always made jokes about people getting cobwebs after not having sex for a while. That's what I imagine cobwebs to be at like 12, 11 years old, just like pumpkin gunk inside of their pussy. And it's just like, it
Oh
just doesn't
god.
work anymore until you scrape it out. And I'm like, fuck, that's gross.
Yeah, that
That
is gross.
I've never had that image in my head before now,
Exactly.
but ugh, man.
I'm
But
one of
it's
those people
not
that's
illogical. It kind of makes sense. That shit's gross and it looks like cobwebs. Yeah, makes sense.
I'm
It's
one of
I
those
about the
guess
people
same
that's
color.
it
always like,
does look like it, but the
Yeah.
consistency is completely different.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's why. Like, why are we talking about this for more than 3
I don't know. I thought it was
sentences?
hilarious. So Verlis sent me this post the other day on Reddit, and it was one of the greatest fucking things I've ever seen in a while. I saw another one like this the other day too. That parents are coming up with random ways to say like, "Oh, this is done for the day" or whatever. This one was, "Is it true that Fortnite stops working after bedtime?" Posted by Farting Dog 33. I want to play Fortnite past 9 p.m., but my mom says I can't because the game stops working then. But like how? Why does it turn off after then?
It doesn't.
Top,
That's a lie.
top comment. Yep, it turns off so everyone can get a good night's sleep. I think they just unplug it somewhere. I don't know. I was just like, yes,
That is
guys,
the most
we're starting to work
wholesome
together.
thing.
Yeah.
uh, they're looking out for their players. They're gamers.
I was like,
Don't stay up too much.
this is so fantastic. The other one I saw was the parents posted, guys, life pro tip. Whenever you want your kids to go to sleep, you start telling them at a very, very young age. At bedtime, all TVs change language and you no longer can understand them because you're so tired. So at a certain time, you just press that SAP button and all of your shows go into Spanish, but your kid knows for damn sure it's bedtime because now they don't understand anything that's going on. I was like, holy shit, that's fucking fantastic. That's like such a life hack, and this Fortnite thing just fell right into it. It was hilarious.
Is it like necessary to lie to children?
Yes.
Like, okay,
Like half the
As a
time.
father, he has to
Yes.
say,
okay. I'm not a parent. I'm only 20, almost 24 actually. I
The
turned
dumb
24
little
November
things
1st.
the dumb little things that matter the least are the things you lie about, like the
yeah.
TV turning to Spanish. You make sure they're extremely intelligent. You make sure they're on top of everything. But the dumb little things that make life easier, that's where you can do things.
I
Like
saw,
Okay.
yeah.
Santa Claus, he's real. The Tooth Fairy, he's real. TV turns to Spanish. Fortnite gets turned off. The electric company turns off your power at 9 o'clock. So that way everybody has to go to sleep. You know, the dumb little things like that. Everything else, no. No reason to lie.
That reminds me of a post where it's like an old Twitter post where this person's like, before I was a parent, I thought you should never lie to your children or anything like that. Lying is wrong. I'm going to raise my children to be honest and it's going to be good. After being a parent, look, I got off the phone with the dog from Paw Patrol and all these other things. If you don't brush your teeth, they're going to have to kill another something, like another rabbit.
Well, I had
Okay,
this
that's
really
funny.
interesting way to change Christmas because I always felt like Santa got too much like positive feedback. It's not like the parents getting the credit or anything else like that. You could work your ass off and your kid really doesn't kind of understand or grasp it. So I was like, what if we take the whole Hanukkah thing of doing presents every day and it kind of have like a pattern of what you're doing, like an advent calendar almost. And then by the 25th, you have your big present on the 25th that obviously comes from your parents, but it kind of is like a whole month thing. I lost out on that vote for the longest time, but I thought it was the greatest idea of like, oh yeah, here's like 3 or 4 Matchbox cars this day. Yo, you got a controller for your console. Oh, you got a new game. So that way you can like interact and enjoy every little thing that you have as you go through the season instead of on the day you dump all this dopamine at once and you're like, I don't know what the fuck to do and you're short circuiting.
Hmm.
Nope, I got outvoted. I thought that was a great idea though.
That is a good idea, honestly.
Yeah.
Uh, I think I got disillusioned by Santa Claus when I was 6. 6 years old. I was really young. And so I was the person going around telling kids, "Hey, Santa Claus isn't real." I was that type of kid.
So you were the
You
little
know?
mean asshole that just ruined
Yeah,
everybody's Christmas. It's
yeah.
great.
How do you think that affected you? Like, do you think getting disillusioned was a good or like horrible thing?
I mean, on one hand, ignorance is bliss. But on the other hand, I like having I like knowing that people are lying to me at such a young age, so I can expect people to lie to me, you know?
Did you put
Yeah.
the
It
pieces together yourself, or did you just, walk out on mom and dad wrapping shit?
All right, here's the story. So,
Let's go.
the time when I was like 6 years old, I was in foster care, and there was this foster mom, and she's like, "Oh, I'm gonna take you to Santa," right? And so I go to the mall Santa, and I'm like, "Hey, can I get some pink boots?" Right? And then Christmas comes around, and I don't get pink boots, and I'm like, "That means Santa isn't real." Because if Santa were real, he would have gotten me my pink boots. I think I got
See,
like a
I
train set instead.
as a dad, I already have an answer for why this happens. I could have explained this away. It's crazy. It's crazy the level some parents are just like, okay, you figured it out, whatever. When I figured it out, my mom told me, and it's because I ruined the Easter bunny for my sister at like 11 years old. So me and my mom went Easter shopping together, and she's like, "Okay, I want your input on things because you, you know your sister, you know cool things that work." And we decided to get her a guinea pig. And the guinea pig was hidden in my mom's room, and I didn't help her. I didn't help her hide anything, but I kind of knew what it was, so I knew what I was looking for. So I walked into my mom's room, and it's sitting on a chair backwards with a blanket over it. And I was like, "Oh, that's obviously the guinea pig." So I wake my sister up and I run over and I bring her to it. And she's like, "Oh my fucking God, I got a guinea pig freaking the fuck out." And like 2 hours later, my mom walks in. Why is everybody up? Because she was working a 7 to 7 shift. I woke up at like 5, 6 o'clock in the morning just to show my sister her fucking guinea pig because I wanted the excitement. And my mom's like, "Oh, wait. Oh, you guys found and I watched my mom get like so fucking depressed because she put all this shit together. And I'm like, fuck, did I do something wrong? And she's like, "Yeah, yeah. No, don't worry about it." And it was
Oh,
like the one thing where I'm like, "No, I fucked up badly." And I was like, "Okay, nope, I figured it out now. Everything's fake and my mom does it, and that's why she gets so excited when we open things." But fuck, I fucked everything up.
yeah,
I
that's
showed my sister
horrible,
that guinea pig. It was sad.
bro. My parents took risks growing up. Like we woke up and there was like nothing under the tree, and we like fucking lost it, and we were crying, me and my twin brother, and then the whole thing was like a ploy to get us to go and check our closet where all the toys were. How the fuck did they do that?
That's
What the
fucking
fuck?
hard.
Yeah,
The crazy shit that I struggled with was always putting the big shit together before the kids wake up because you don't want to be sitting there fucking putting
a
together
bite
Barbie's dream
together.
house at fucking 8 o'clock in the morning when you've slept 2 hours and you can barely see the fucking screw hole.
Yeah,
This
they're
one
gonna be
year,
awake really early. Like,
yeah,
yeah.
this one year we were up until 6 o'clock in the morning and I was putting together this Barbie dream house. I'm sitting there struggling with the fucking shit. I throw shit, you hear thud, 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 and then somebody walking. I'm like, go upstairs now, go. Just let me finish this because if Santa's going to be found out now, at least make it so way, things are together instead of dads being incompetent and not wanting to put together a Barbie
I mean,
dream
that
house.
one seems easy though. Like, yo, Santa said he didn't have enough time, so I have to build it. Just trying to be a surprise from both of us.
But yeah, no, that's just hell. That's the worst thing. You know how many people are like, "Oh yeah, I bought your kid this. Is it put together?" No, you get to put it together. It's like that's not a present. It's not a present. Thanks. You just gave me more work. And
It's
if I don't want to do
homework.
it,
It's an
yeah,
arts and
exactly.
crafts project or arts and crafts project to justify not build, putting that together before giving it.
The worst things. You remember those plastic kitchens as a kid that all little girls have?
Yeah,
It's like the Barbie kitchen that like snaps together in plastic or
like the
You know,
big
I
plastic.
one.
actually never owned one of those, but when I was adopted, I would go to my adopted mom's like preschool. She would work at a preschool, and they had like a bunch of those there. So I'm familiar with
They
the
are
concept.
Mhm.
they're the worst fucking things to put together because if you force it just a little too hard to put it together, everything snaps because it's all shitty plastic. All of it. I snapped off an oven door on one of them and I'm like, we need to bring this back to Walmart and exchange it. And because it's Christmas time, they don't give
Yeah.
a fuck. They're just like, exchange everything, approve it. It's fine. It's fucking retarded.
Okay. That's actually I've had struggles with the return in the
You just say
past.
you got it as a gift.
Okay.
And then they're like, wait, I guess we have to. Even clothes. Just, I got it as a gift. It doesn't fit. Dude, I'm 6'5" and 165 pounds. If anybody can buy me clothes without me going with you, I'm confused.
Honestly, same. People who try to buy me clothes, I'm just like, you do not know my style at all. I'm too picky. Don't try, you know. I've always been like that.
So I keep seeing all of these things, and I wanted to do two things worth of lore today. I want to do a fun lore thing, and I want you to explain and tell me what the fuck is going on with all these people saying that you're kidnapped and that you're being held against your will and you're a hostage. Because what the fuck is going on? These people have no idea how the world works at all.
Um First of all, they're just making shit up based off of based off of this key call. So, um how do I explain this cuz there's a story behind it. So basically the gist is I was in college and I was at the university and it was around Christmas time where I was like, yeah, I don't want to go back to my parents' house for Christmas. Or well, I did, but like I didn't want to be there for 2 weeks. I wanted to go there like the week of Christmas. And they really insist my parents really wanted me to be there for the entire 2 weeks and really pushed for it. And I was like, nah. Uh
Not today,
so I,
parents.
what's up?
Not today, parents. I'm not coming. It's fine.
No.
I'll be there on Christmas Day.
Right. But like the way I did it was this is how I came to start dating and have a 5-year relationship with Riley now. Uh so Riley was like, "Hey, how about you like drive to my place and you give me $40 and I'll have sex with you." Not the other way around. Like I had
That's
to
a hell
pay
of a
for
trade.
it to have sex with him
That's a hell of a
and
trade. Proud of him. He
and
did a good
drive
job.
12 hours. That is a hell of a trade.
I figured it out. It's like all these people are just jealous. Right there on the spot, solved.
Yeah. So he has major riz, as the cool kids like to say. Uh, so I drive there, and my goal is to be there for maybe a week and then drive back. But I didn't tell my parents, hey, I'm driving to Twin Falls, Idaho, because that's where you lived at the time. Uh,
Only thing there, potatoes and dick, and the dick I had to pay for.
I mean, they got a canyon there. It's pretty cool. Whatever fucking what's his Daredevil name? A very famous
Evil Knievel.
Evil Knievel. He jumped that canyon. So just so you know where it's at. So I'm my parents are freaking out, but they're doing it in such a way where they're okay. They said they're emailing the police because I left. They said they're going to email the police. They emailed the university police because I drove across state lines. I just went. Like I asked no permission. It's easier to ask for forgiveness than to
Are you
ask for
above 18
permission.
at this point, or did you graduate early?
Yeah, I was at the point I was 19. I
Okay.
was a junior in university. I did running start, which basically allows it so while you're doing high school, you can
Yep.
also do your associate's degree. So I got my associate's degree by the time I graduated high school. So
Well,
That's what
a
I
lot
do.
of that, a lot of shit that doesn't make a lot of sense then is at 18, as long as you're not found mentally incapable, you are an adult.
Yeah.
It's not kidnapping. You chose to go. There's a
Yeah.
difference, guys.
I
Surprise,
was
surprise.
19. I was 19 years old when I decided to leave.
Buy dick.
I got scared when Zach like asked like, "Were you 18?" Cause I'm like, "Oh, if it's under, then we can't post this." No,
No, no,
19,
no.
everything's good.
It was 19. I was an adult. You know, I was like, I'm done. I could also like, I was in a state where I hated going to college. This is 2019, so the climate was really starting to get really radical left in
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
like pushing it on you way, not
Mhm.
like over celebrating diversity, but like, hey, we're forcing things on you now,
You
kind
better
of
have your
thing.
pride pin on today. We're gonna have a problem if you don't.
Yeah, yeah, stuff like that. Like, and so it's like, oh my god, they're forcing me each time I stand up. They're forcing me, and they refuse to let me answer the question without saying my pronouns. I think, and I was just like, this is getting whack. Like, I'm not for this. It was that plus like, I think I could make it on my own without
Mhm.
racking up a bunch of college debt. Luckily, my parents were paying for the college, so
Well, that
it
makes
was
it 10
nice.
times easier.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna ask a few questions about this. That way, maybe we can start debunking some of these dipshits
Yeah.
online that have no idea what they're talking about. So at that point, you obviously were no longer a child because you're above 18. Were you ever really found mentally incapable at that point?
No,
Were
never.
you still a ward of your parents? Were like with adoption, normally, I know it's slightly different than becoming an adult when you're not emancipated, essentially. Were you emancipated and put into being an adult
No.
or
You
anything
just
like that?
once you're 18, you're an adult in the state of
Yeah.
Washington state. Like,
Yeah,
that's just the law.
a lot of states just put their hands up unless it's something crazy with like mental health or something like that, which is why I asked.
Yeah.
It's just
I was never found to be like retarded, I'd say. I was actually put in a lot of advanced classes. I did college and high school.
Yeah, you
Mhm.
just talked about the running start.
Yeah.
That's what I always found stupid. Is like I was just diagnosed with autism literally last year. So I completely get it. I'm highly functioning, but I absolutely get it. I am a fucking retard in some cases. If I have
Yeah.
too many things going on, fuck if I can write a sentence correctly because I am stressed out and I am not paying full attention and I can't focus. But if I have an eloquent sentence, everybody gets so confused because it doesn't make any sense. Just because somebody has autism doesn't mean that they drag their knuckles on the ground, guys. There's two sides of it. There's like a
Yeah.
thousand different things you can be diagnosed for. Knuckle dragging is only one of them.
Yeah, there's a whole spectrum. I think also, when I was diagnosed when I was 16, I was told, "Oh, 2 years ago, if you were diagnosed, you've been diagnosed with Asperger's." But now they just
Mhm,
blended it into a big old spectrum. And I think because of that, Asperger's is completely different than like old autism. And now it's just
mhm.
called autism. And because it's just called autism, there's an
Well,
there's the negative connotation to the word autism.
well, do you know
Like,
why there's a negative connotation? And this might
I
help you a
don't know
little bit too.
why.
Okay, so when autism was formed, the idea of what autism is things that gave you an IEP or a 504 in elementary school, middle school, and high school. So it automatically gives you a different section of the school that you're a part of. So it literally just takes you out of classes. So you have the texture issues, the intelligence issues, the ADHD, not being able to be attentive and those things. Those things
Hmm.
automatically give you the diagnosis of autism. And those things made it so that way you had a 504 and you were treated differently because your parents were a part of your schooling.
Yeah.
Huh.
Also, I think it's because like if you ever saw those groups of kids at your school, they didn't look
The
too
socially
great.
awkward ones. Yeah.
Uh,
No, no, like if I'm talking about growing up in like the 90s as well,
Oh,
like it wasn't a spectrum. You got the lower end, and that's like actually wearing helmets and stuff running around. So now it's become like more broad.
hmm.
and it's made it more odd in all honesty. Like you would think that somebody like me or Mint would not be in the same spectrum as somebody with an IQ of like 40 or 50, unable to speak, unable to do anything. They throw their iPad at you because they don't want to do anything,
Yeah.
and they're 25 years old. Those three people are very, very different. They all are. They should not have the same diagnosis. Just because I have ADHD and I have a problem trying to figure out exactly how somebody's feeling without being in the same room as them, that should not be the same exact diagnosis as somebody who barely can do
Yeah.
anything.
That's what I mean, where it's
But it
like,
is.
oh, the lower end exposure to it is like needing a handler and like non-functioning, but then like the high functioning part, way too broad.
Yeah, it just gets weird.
Yeah. I think it helped that I didn't know I was autistic until I was 16. I knew I was weird. I was called rude a lot. I was like, "Hey," these people are like, "You're rude. You're rude." I'm like, "I'm just saying I'm just saying reality. How is that rude?"
Yeah, because you don't have a filter and you're going to say it when you think that there's a space for you to say something, and you step on somebody's toes because it feels like there should be a gap and there's not. I do it
Yeah.
all of the fucking time. I fucking hate it. It's
That's
hell.
true. That is true. I do think you can learn it. It takes a lot of training and a lot of focus to learn social stuff. I'm definitely better at it now than I was 10 years ago. I still
Mhm.
have a lot of things to learn, but it's doable.
Hmm.
I think the hardest part is now wanting to go out of the house. And this might just
Yeah.
be mightism. We had a conversation, me and Rose had a conversation about this before. It's like everybody's like, I'm socially anxious now. It's like, no, you're terminally online. And this just isn't a streamer problem. It's the fact that we all have our phones shoved up our fucking asses so high that we can fucking see it. We don't interact with anybody face to face. So we get anxious every time we have to talk to somebody now. It's like, dude, you don't get anxious when you get a text message. You're not socially fucking anxious, you weirdo. You don't want to be in people. You don't want to be in a people to person fucking situation. That's why, because you don't read people anymore.
Yeah, it's like one of those laws of physics. Once stays in motion, wants to stay in motion, goes in motion, stays in motion, stops, it wants to stop forever. It's much more eloquently put at what it actually
Great
says.
Spark Notes, great showing of your intelligence right there. Way to beat the allegations on that one.
I
It's
don't
just
remember how it's phrased, I just remember what it means.
an object stays in motion once it's in motion, unless acted upon by another force.
I think that's
Um,
also why people think I'm like retarded, is that I didn't grow up speaking so eloquently. I was focused more so on drawing, and I would speak whenever I was needed to speak, but that was it. I think I was called annoying once in second grade, and I was like, nope, I'm no longer the annoying one. I'm not going to speak ever again unless people want me to speak. And that's why I kind of not the best at words, like demonstrated, but
So when you're a kid and in foster homes and stuff like that, did
yeah.
that cause you to be like more withdrawn at home and stuff too? Like a lot of ADHD and autism kids will come home and then they'll finally decompress and you'll see the crazy part of the kid where they're, bouncing off the walls because they had to mirror and show everybody normal for the entire day. Did you not have that when you got home? So like you were just always kind of boxed into normal?
Um, I think I would not hold it in at school. So any tism moment would occur at school or at home when it happened. So I don't think I'm the type to like hold in my reaction to things. So I don't know. What was the question again?
Uh, so everybody kind of puts on like a mask when they're
Yeah.
in public because they kind of hide those reactions to things and stuff like that. With being in a foster home, you don't feel like that's necessarily fully home too, so you don't have
Yeah.
the place to like unmask almost, which might
That
be
is
why
true.
some people kind of read you in that weird kind of way. You never take on or put on the mask. It's kind of all mixed together. So they might not be able to read it as eloquently as like somebody that's able to take off a mask and put it on.
Yeah. I think it was I think also part of my upbringing, like I was 5 years old when I got put into foster care,
Mm.
but like until then, I was not hawking. I was mostly independent. So I was like developing kind of a strongly independent um streak.
Mhm.
Lack of better word. And so because when I went to the environments of like interacting with kids at school and then at foster care, um I think I just got really comfortable with the people there, like not the adults per se, but like the other foster kids, and would uh decompress on them, I guess. This is
Well,
why I didn't have that many friends. Just
well,
I would decompress
with
on people.
ADHD and autism and stuff, it's easier for you to like almost trauma dump or offload whatever the hell's going on with you to that person because either they're going to care or they're not going to care. And neither way is really negative if you want to be honest. If I'm never going to see you again and you just wanted to know a little bit, sure, that's good. I don't really care anyway. Or you're going to be a best friend now because guess what? We commiserated over something dumb and now all of a sudden we're not letting go at all. There's no
Right.
in between.
That is true. There's not. I
Boring
most
conversations about how the weather is today is fucking boring and like dragging my nuts on glass.
Yeah, I hate conversations like that. I'm not a small talk person. I
Nope.
I think it goes to like socializing growing up. I was mostly focused on like a person or two at a time, maybe a group of four max. I mean, I was definitely socializing, but I wasn't doing debate class or like super focused on learning vocabulary words. Just
Yeah.
mostly just interested in like nailing the concepts or like in the ideas down in the simplest way so I can remember it, which is I
Mhm.
guess reflective in my speech. And I guess people are just so used to the big talkers on the television or the big talkers that they look at on the screen, and then they see me, and then they compare me, and then they'd be like, "Oh,
They're
she's
com-
a retard,"
they're
you
comparing
know?
something that's raw and off the top of somebody with autism or ADHD's head, comparing it to somebody who's genuinely just on top of everything and everything scripted out, and they know every
Oh
single
yeah,
word that they're allowed to say and not allowed to say, and they expect everybody to be perfect. Guys, this is the internet.
yeah. I think also what contributed to the retard thing, the first call in, this goes back to when my parents were pissed off at me, 2019. Uh, they sent like some emails that were like, "Oh, we're gonna cut you off completely. No health care, no phone, nothing. You're not going to get any help from us, no resources, nothing." Right? And they put this in form of an email. It was pretty the way it was typed was pretty psychotic. So I sent that to Dick Masterson. And he was like, "Do you want to come on the show?" And I was like, "Sure." And then I was I thought, "Oh, I could do the show." And then go on there. It's the first time. It's not even like in studio. I'm just calling. And I'm like, "Oh, no, I'm not explaining myself very well."
Yeah, then you get
Um,
frustrated, which makes it 10 times worse.
yeah. And so it's like not explaining my situation very well. And then I would try I was trying to get it so my dad would pick up the phone when he called because I gave Dick my dad's number.
That's hilarious.
And he picked up, and then Dick was like, "Hey, you're on the Dick show. What's up with your daughter? What's the situation? Blah blah blah." And then he just hangs up, right? I'm like, okay, damn it. He just cucked this content. But like, right, it could be inconsequential, but like people freaking freaked out like 4 weeks after that, just straight after that appearance. Just people were like, "What the fuck? The Mid Salad arc is now what it's called. Is this god awful dog shit." There's even this guy who called in right after. My dad didn't answer the phone like speaking wise. He was like, "What the fuck? why are you like getting involved in people's business? And this guy was like projecting hard about his own personal problems. But he was like airing out my dirty laundry, but saying that Dick
But
was
you
airing out
brought it
mine.
there. It's fucking
Yeah.
stupid.
Like, yeah, the guy was airing out my laundry. And because of that, it was like be- because of how harsh Dick was to that guy, then there's like a that created like, oh, I think that created a lot of the rumors, and it started there, and then like the game of telephone, you know how it works, things change over time, and that's it pretty much.
It's crazy that something like that, you overextending yourself and thinking that you can do something, but you're very uncomfortable and get, socially disconnected. It makes it so crazy with that everybody's like, "Oh, she's a retard." And I'm like,
Yeah,
"Guys, that's one hell of a jump, guys. That's not what it is." Do you know how much I
it's
get called a retard because I couldn't put my thoughts how I wanted them into a fucking trivia game? But yet when I said it, it was said properly. It was just typed incorrectly, and I wasn't paying enough attention to grasp what I was doing because I was anxious. It's like, guys, there's a big step here. You imagine 300,000 people listening to your voice, and guess what? You don't even turn your camera on when you're on Discord.
oh man, I it's weird how the internet is like that. I think the internet is polarizing, taking any nuance or of any performance, anything, and just adding a black and white label to it.
Yep.
Yeah.
It just rampant everywhere, and there's no
It's
nuance on the internet.
no, it's a popularity contest with people that are too scared to talk to someone else in person. It's GG.
It's high
It's
school
a
with the
popular,
nerds and no jocks, only nerds.
Yeah, great.
and none of them have a genuine idea of what actually is what you're supposed to do at all. We're all like the retard that's banging their head into the wall with a helmet on, and we're like, we pushed our helmet back too far. Keep going. It's stupid. So when you get these messages that like devalue you almost as a person, they're like, oh, well, you're this, so therefore you have to be painted this way. What the fuck does that do? Because everybody's like, you're forced to do Fansly, you're forced to do all these things. Does
I
it make you feel discredited for what you have done and accomplished
yeah,
and all this shit?
I decided to do OnlyFans and Fansly because I was working a restaurant job at the time, and I would just keep burning my hands. I still have the scars from like some burns, although they're faded now. But there was like 3 years ago. Oh, I started in 2022, I guess 2 years ago. I started in like May 2022, and I decided, okay, my ultimate like long term career projection is to do a comic book, right? And I'm actually working
Mm.
on it now, which is great. But that's in the works. When that's closer to done, I'll promote it and do all the fun jazz. But what happened was God damn it, I lost my train of thought. Fuck. Does that ever happen to you?
So yep, all the time. Especially if I don't say what's on my mind when I'm about to say it, and I'm like, oh, short circuit, I'm retarded. So with
I
all
have
of
too
these
many
things,
trains of thought. Like
yeah,
I have two trains of thought. Which one do I choose in the moment? And then I choose that
you
one.
drink caffeine to go off
Uh
topic completely.
yeah, sometimes.
Drink a large amount of caffeine at once,
Okay.
and it literally changes that entirely. It
Okay.
literally is like taking Adderall or ADHD medication. It will calm everything else and make it more streamlined.
Okay. Then I will do that. I'll
Try
have to
it and
make
see
that
what
as a
works.
habit. Yeah, I will
Yeah.
do that then.
I was self-medicating my ADHD for like the longest time with energy drinks. I was drinking 2 or 3 of them to start my shift when I was working at a box store, and it was the only way that I could actually focus enough to do my job. I had to have music in my headphones, and I had to have enough caffeine in order to make my mind work because it was dull and boring and bullshit.
Yeah,
But
I can relate to that. Oh, I know what I was talking about now. So I was burning my hands, and the long term goal is to do like comics, and I'm an artist, That's what I grew up doing instead of talking, was drawing. And I'd say I'm at a professional level now. So I could do a comic.
Once you
But
make money, it's
yeah,
professional.
exactly. The idea though was like, okay, so I'm not getting much in commissions, and I don't want to burn my hands, and I want to focus on art. But it's like in the short term, it's really hard to focus on that because I'm also working a full-time job and I'm also doing this YouTube stuff. So it's like it's about like time that you got. So it's like, okay, quitting the job, I'm doing Fansly and OnlyFans. Oh wow, I can do daily movie reviews, and I just checked, I'm 784 daily movie reviews in a row as of this recording.
That's
Uh
fucking insane.
so I was like, I'm gonna do daily reviews. Um, I'm gonna do these daily photo sets, and that actually replaced the income I was making at the restaurant. And I was like, okay, I gotta get this daily movie review streamline process, these photo sets streamline process, and that's at the point where I'm like 2 weeks ahead in my reviews, so I can like focus, have like a set time to just do art and start cranking that out. So that's where I'm at now. It was like all of like a long term kind of goal plan, but the internet really focuses on the short term, like right what's in front of them. And
Mhm.
so when news came out that I was doing Fansly and OnlyFans, people were like, "Oh my goodness, she's being sex trafficked into doing it." Even though it was like my decision completely, it was my idea. I was like, I don't want to burn my hands.
You
I'm
used
gonna
your ID to verify that it was you and you wanted to do it.
yes,
Like, as a whole, it is very hard to force somebody to take a picture with their ID next to their face saying, "Yeah, I wanna do this." If it senses that you're in a bad mood, you really think it's gonna be approved? I don't think so. I don't think OnlyFans and Fansly wanna be sued that way. They're
yeah,
not Pornhub.
exactly. So they're like more selective too about their model process. You got to be like really want it. And yeah, I just think it's at this point it's I'll call it retarded echo chamber talking points, is to say that I'm being sex trafficked, I'm being abused, I'm being low IQ, dullard, like, because that is all of that is provably not true.
Yeah. My
So
mindset's like, I would absolutely like, okay, I did OnlyFans with my ex for like 6 months, 7 months. If that came out as like, "Oh, she's a retard," I would be like, "Slave girl. Now's the time."
that's funny. That's really funny.
Like the Saw bathroom tied up to the vent, just sitting there, nothing.
Oh no.
Fantastic. Just be fucking a smart ass about it because then they know. They know that you're being meta and they'll be like, "I like this, but I'm not allowed to like this." And that makes it even worse.
No
That
one
is
here beating the
Fantastic.
funny.
allegations.
Exactly. Well, you're not gonna beat them anyway. Think, you're still a bad guy.
Okay, that's actually
I'm
a
still a
very fair
retard.
response.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you might as well lean into it and just be like, "Yeah, I'm a retard. It's okay."
I think at some point I was I think it was probably a couple of years ago where people were just calling me like retard. And so I'm like, I'm a retard because it's just something to say when you fuck up.
Exactly.
Like,
Who gives a fuck?
yeah,
It's language.
yeah, it's like the equivalent of saying, "Oh, whoops, I'm sorry about that. Or I didn't mean to do that. That was my bad. My mistake." Um Also, it's not fun to talk so formal and vanilla, like with
Mhm.
correct grammar, because I could do that. I just don't like doing it because it's not fun.
And you're gonna freeze and feel like you're doing everything wrong because you're second guessing everything you're saying. It is hell not to be, fully unmedicated and no caffeine and try and do this show because speaking eloquently and intelligently is hard some days.
Exactly.
Some
I
days I
can
just wanna
relate.
turn my brain off and play video games
That's what the
and
I'm retarded
oversleep.
thing is for. I'm
Mhm.
retarded flag. That needs to be a flag.
What should it be? one of those endless rooms with black lines just barely outlining the hallway.
It
I'm
should just be
retarded.
like a
There's
black
nothing
and
going
white
on here.
checkerboard.
No, that's a finish line.
Maybe it should be a yellow flag instead of white. It's yellow. It's like
Caution,
soft
retard.
surrender, but it's also the color of like the color I identify with autism. I guess autism is like different colors, right? What color is autism?
It's not. It's puzzle pieces, which is what a lot of people kind of stick by for autism. They say that you're
But
missing puzzle piece or whatever.
but don't those puzzle pieces have a color
I think they're all
associated
this.
to them?
Yes, you're right, but I don't think the colors mean anything. I think they just
Okay.
remove one of them and they use the puzzle as like the ribbon thing.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, that makes sense.
It makes it really, really hard to get behind because it's like you're telling somebody they're uniquely broken. And it's like, no, everybody is uniquely broken, you fucking dopes. You just are virtue signaling. That's the only thing that's going on now.
I feel like it's the autism, just the autism label. You sling it at somebody, and if you're a normal, a neurotypical,
Yep.
as called in the tism business, um, you just you hurl autism, and I feel like it's perceived as an insult to people who don't have it.
Yep.
Yeah.
It is. And I think a lot of people are kind of going against that now. And it's weird because now neurotypical is the thing that it's kind of the diagnosis now. It's ADHD, autism, and there's one other thing in there that's thrown in there with neurotypical OCD. OCD is the other one.
Mm.
Um, and all those things are considered neurotypical. Think of how big of a stretch that is in between those three things. It makes no sense that they're all under the same umbrella just because they have the same symptoms.
You mean neurodivergent, not
Uh,
neurotypical?
yeah,
Yeah.
I was
That
okay.
that's
So
just your yeah.
do you guys want to talk about Rich from what the fuck tech reviews, or do you want to talk about the Pokemon lore shit that is going on?
I don't know who Rich is.
Review
Rich
Tech
Um,
from
USA.
Review Tech USA.
oh, review tech. They review technology. What did that guy
Yes,
do?
big fat guy that plays with his nipples on stream.
Used to be
I don't
really
know.
popular.
Yeah, so he had like over a million sub channel, and he started getting shit from a whole bunch of people and everything else. But the shit that he was getting was completely justified. Like the most justified thing I've ever heard in my life. So I guess a couple of years ago he was streaming, and his mom, I guess, is in rather shitty health, and she comes in, knocks on his door after he gets his divorce and separates from his the mom of his kids, and they're like, "Hey, your daughter's crying for you. Go check on her, please. Like, go make sure she's okay." He's like, "No, no, why? You can do this. I'm sitting here streaming. You can do this." I'm like, dude, that's your fucking mom. That's not the kids anything. They're not equal to you. Go take care of your kid. Then, I guess a bigger thing happened, and he was making videos on Dark Side Phil and all of that stuff, and that's kind of what he transitioned to from tech and building computers and stuff. So he builds Dark Side Phil a computer, and this computer ends up with his editor. His editor then has every single one of his social medias, including his YouTube channel, hacked because the computer that he was going to send to Darkside Phil had a keylogger in it. That is a federal offense.
What the fuck? Yeah, what? Why would you do all of this shit is psychotic.
Yeah. So now he's running around throwing hissy fits about absolutely doing everything wrong. He's like, I'm not a bad parent. I didn't send him a computer with a keylogger in it. And nobody's like, well, did he download porn? Because that's the only other place you're going to get a fucking keylogger is downloading shit. If it's
Yeah.
for work, you're not going to download porn on your work computer. That's fucking weird, you weirdo. So as a whole, this dude sending out a computer with a keylogger in it, being a bad dad, being a bad parent, Rich, you're a fucking horrible parent. That's not what you do. You don't just say somebody else's problem, deal with it. You handle it. If you're at home, you handle it. It's your job. Then the final nail in the coffin. His answer to deal with the trolls were to delete his 1 million plus subscriber YouTube channel.
Own the trolls. Got him. Boo, boo, boo,
And
boo, boo, boo. Got him. You fucking fucked those trolls up. Right up the ass. You got him.
Wings had one of the greatest takes I've ever heard on this. He's like, that proves how bad of a fucking parent he is. He deleted a money source from his kids because he doesn't want to deal with it anymore. Meanwhile, he's unemployable because his nipples are on fucking stream daily. And he plays with a fucking ceramic chicken and says that he's jerking the cock
That
on
guy
Twitch.
sounds like a retard.
That is a
Like,
retard to me.
yeah.
Weird hot take though. And this might, get me canceled. I don't know. Why the fuck would you watch some fat dude that's shirtless play with his nipples and jerk a ceramic chicken off on Twitch? Talking about random React bullshit. Who gives a fuck? That's not entertaining at all.
I think it's just cringe content. Like someone's like, "Oh my goodness, look at what the fuck I found on Twitch. Look at him. He's rubbing his nipples." And then they get the friends around the TV and they all laugh at him. That's the only case I can really imagine watching
Having
this dude.
400 viewers every time you go live, stroking your nipples and jerking your cock is a weird place to be. How does that happen? If you're just cringe and everybody's like, haha, fucked up weird guy. And that's how it works. How does that happen more than once? How does that happen more than a month?
I don't know. People are weird. I mean, there's I it has to be the same types of people who follow follow what we do. And the people interested in strained individuals, you know.
Verlis, I sent you a Reddit link. It didn't work all the way, but why don't you start telling that story? I got to mute for a second because the dogs are going to bark.
Let's say I'm like, I'm the one that
Yep,
has
you're
to
going to read the
read
Pokemon lore
these.
fanfic.
Woo!
It works out perfectly.
All right.
Oh
So,
no. I love it.
have you heard anything about the Pokemon Giga Leak?
What? No.
So what happened was someone fished an employee at Game Freak and got onto their server and like downloaded a terabyte of data. So like the entirety of the Pokemon history and lore and development is in some random dude's like just some random dude has it and he's been putting it on the internet and there's some crazy shit.
That's hilarious.
Like the craziest shit. Like it goes from, stuff that wasn't put in games to Game Freak is just as dirty minded as everybody that thinks Rule 34 is the thing that everybody should enjoy. It goes all the way across to everything.
Man, Rule 34 isn't good enough.
Pokemon verifies Rule 34.
Don't say the
E621.net.
magic letter numbers. No.
No, it's the best site. It is the best
The normies can't know.
I don't
All right,
know,
well,
believe it or
either
not.
way. So, yeah, there's a lot of lore and stuff that's come out, and Generation 4 has, like, Sinnoh myths. And the Sinnoh myths
Huh.
were soft. They were, like, as spicy as you could get for a kid's game, where in the Japanese version, they were like, there was once a time where humans and Pokemon could marry, and there was no difference between the two. And that's as far as they took it in the games. And then there's also a couple of other ones where it's just, like, a kid found a sword, and then killed all the Pokemon in the forest, and then the village got mad at him because there was no food left because he killed all the Pokemon. It's like, oh wow, there's actually like canon instances of some dude just like getting a weapon and cutting a Pokemon up. All right, yeah, I guess that'll happen. But then the rough drafts from this that are coming out in the Giga Leak, because we have everything. We have all these like scribbled down notes from like 2005 about what Game Freak wanted to do. There's some messed up stuff in here. So Zach, you want to read the Slackoth story, or is that me?
Do you want to read the Slackoth one? What the fuck? Hold on. I have the Slackoth one and the collapse of culture and relationships. You pick one and I'll read the other one.
I'll do the Slackoth one because I already have it up.
Okay.
So yeah, this was found in Game
Cool.
Freak. Like the person that hacked it was able to find this file of a rough draft. This is what Game Freak was pitching, or like an idea of how to develop real Pokemon lore. So, this is called Original Sin, based on the current Pokemon world. That's like the theme of their folklore for Pokemon Diamond and Pearl. In the distant past, when the boundary between Pokemon and humans was still blurred, there was a woman and her companions. Every day they were bored, so they would often catch Slackoth living in the forest. They played cruel games with the captured Slackoth, killing them for fun, gouging out their eyes, or cutting off their ears. One day, the woman was walking alone in the forest and saw a Slackoth hanging from a tree. She tried to climb the tree to catch it, but slipped and injured herself. At that moment, a Vigoroth appeared. The Vigoroth had a torn ear. The woman, startled, tried to flee but injured her leg too much from falling out of the tree, so she couldn't move. The Vigoroth with a torn ear attacked her, and she lost consciousness. When she awoke, she was in an unfamiliar place. Before her was a clear lake surrounded by trees from which Slackoth and Vigoroth were hanging. All Pokemon bore wounds somewhere on their bodies, marks left by the woman and her companions. Upon closer inspection, she noticed that some of the Slackoth were corpses. They were the very Slackoth that the woman and her friends had killed and discarded. The Slackoth were throwing these corpses into the lake. Terrified, she tried to run away, but a slacking with a torn ear had caused her to faint once more, so it was the same Vigoroth. When the woman regained consciousness, she found herself at the entrance of the forest near her home, surrounded by her friends. They carried her back to her house. Sometime later, she gave birth to a child. It wasn't a child, it was a Slackoth.
Ah, my God. Up until the she gave birth part, I was like, man, this fucks. But they actually fucked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean. Like there was like even in Pokemon now, not this unreleased stuff. It's like, oh yeah, Pokemon can go kind of hard. The Pokemon Adventures manga has like Pokemon getting carved up and shit. But now they're getting spicy with it. So
They're getting real spicy. Holy shit.
the line between people and Pokemon were blurred. Pokemon can make you give birth to Pokemon, apparently. But yeah, so she intended to abandon it, but couldn't bring herself to do so. She stopped meeting with her friends and decided to raise a Slackoth. One day, her friends, concerned about her, visited the area near her home. They found the Slackoth sleeping there, the child of the woman. As they always did, they caught the Slackoth, stabbed it in the chest, and killed it. They took its corpse and headed to the woman's house. When she saw the slain Slackoth, she was overwhelmed with sorrow. She grabbed the body and ran deep into the forest. Her friends chased after her. As they ventured deeper into the forest, ventured deeper into the forest, the surroundings suddenly opened up. They found the same clear lake as before. Mini Slackoth, mini Vigoroth. The woman stood before the lake, holding the lifeless body of her child Slackoth. She threw herself into the water.
Damn.
What in the fuck?
They were pitching something crazy.
That's fucking wild. I mean, good thing that didn't make it to the games. Also, I think it's interesting that the developers made such a dark world, like filled with murder and rape, and
Yeah.
like not crossbreeding babies. And like, okay, we have such a huge world. We gotta cut some of the meat off and reduce it down to its simplest, most kid friendly form. I actually like that. Honestly, it goes hard.
Well, people like hear that and then they like I think they over freak out in response to this, where they're just like, "Whoa, this is way too sexual, way too crazy." I'm like, guys, it's like the diet version is already in the games. Like people are trying to reject this outright, but it's like no, you can actually still like see how some of this affected the development of Pokemon, and I find that part interesting. Where it's like, yeah, they understood the realities and implications of a real Pokemon world in a very crazy way.
Yeah. I think um it goes to show how deep the world building is and how like it's such a cool world.
It,
I
Mhm.
hear this and I'm like,
Mhm.
I like Pokemon more now.
It's like they're showcasing a part of the world that everybody wanted to be there, and now is there. Everybody's disgusted, and it's like, why does that happen? It's like Guys, we knew that they weren't fainting. We
No,
we
they're
knew that
definitely
they just
fainting.
weren't passing out from pain. It's okay. Guys, that's what's happened since, we were all kids and playing it. That's the
No,
story.
fainting is like 100% it because that's why you can
Yeah, I
take them
know.
to the Pokemon Center and they're fine.
Exactly my point. They just prove fainting happens with people too. The- In lore, everything is being explained the same exact way. It's been as crazy and as dirty as everybody thought it was going to be and didn't expect it for some reason. I don't understand. So this one is even more fucking weird and confusing. This is the collapse of culture and relationships. There was a time when the boundary between Pokemon and human was blurred. In a coastal village, there was a man. One day, as he was walking along the shore, he found a female octillery washed up on the beach. See, we shouldn't have bombed them twice with nuclear bombs. We fucked them up as people. The man had relations with the octillery and
That's
threw it
that's
back
too
into the
far. You
sea.
can't say that.
What?
You can't
What
say
part
it
of that
was.
can I not say?
I mean, the thing is, like, yokai folklore and like those kinds of stories go back long before.
Oh, so you're saying we didn't fuck them up? So
I'm
what I
saying
was saying was incorrect, not factually incorrect. Gotcha. I understand. The next day, he went to the same spot and found the same octillery again. He he once more had relations with it and threw it back into the sea as before. One night, several days had passed. The man had a dream. In the dream, the octillery spoke to him. I cannot come to you, but I will deliver our child. It is our child, yours and mine. The next morning, the man went to the place where he had met the octillery. There he found a boy. The man took the boy home and raised him. Time passed. The boy grew into a young man as the father passed away. The young man was always lonely. One day, as the young man was walking along the shore, he saw a group of people playing in the distance. They all held large swords in their hand as they danced. The young man approached the people. As he got closer, he saw that Sharpedo were playing along the beach, and he tried to get even closer. The Sharpedo suddenly leaped into the sea all at once. However, one of the Sharpedo lingered, looking around 3 times before swimming away. At the spot where the Sharpedo had been playing, there was a large sword laying on the ground. It was a shape he had never seen before. It was very sharp and very pointed. The young man took the sword home. The next day, the young man took the sword and went into the forest. While walking through the forest, he encountered an Ursaring. He tried slashing at Ursaring's mouth with the sword. The mouth was easily severed. Next, he stabbed the Ursaring's eyes, and they were easily pierced. Finally, the young man thrust the sword into the Ursaring's chest, and the Ursaring died effortlessly. That day, the young man killed 30 Ursaring. After that, he always carried the sword with him, playing by injuring the Pokemon he encountered by cutting off parts of their bodies.
What do these fucking Pokemon do to you, guy? Like, in both of these stories, they're cutting off Pokemon's body parts, but the line between human and Pokemon are blurred. So you're just torturing what is
Oh, it gets crazier. Hold
what
Yep.
the
that thought and
fuck?
let him finish. Just let him
All
finish. It's gonna
right,
get crazier.
all right.
One autumn, while the young man was searching for firewood, he lost his way. After walking for a while, he stumbled upon an Ursaring den. Inside, there was an elderly Ursaring lying down. The elderly Ursaring looked at the man and said, "Come inside." The young man hesitated, but as it was getting dark outside, he entered the den. Before long, people began to enter the den, one after another, filling the room completely, and looking closer. He saw that all the people had scarred faces, and some people were even missing eyes. They were chatting amongst themselves, but the young man ignored them and fell asleep. At one point, he woke up to find the elderly Ursaring laying beside him. He fell asleep again. When he woke once more, there were many people around talking about something. Again, the young man ignored them and went back to sleep. When spring arrived, the elderly Ursaring spoke. Do you want to go home? Then I shall send you home. When you return, a whale lord will soon be found near the village. Go there. We will send a man. You must leave the sword behind and bring a witness. Why do you do such things, cutting faces and slicing off noses? The elderly Ursaring escorted the young man back to the village. Upon his return, the young man recounted everything that happened to the villagers. The following morning, the young man took some villagers with him and headed to the shore. As they walked along the coast, they found a large railroad. Nearby, on the beach, was a teddy ursa. The young man, when it noticed the young man, the teddy ursa hid in the forest. A large ursaring came out in its place. As the ursaring charged at him, the young man tried to draw his sword he had hidden, but it got stuck and he couldn't pull it out. So he rushed the ursaring with his bare hands. The young man and the ursaring grappled, punching each other's faces in. They strangled each other with all their strength, and so they choked each other to death, collapsing on one another. The villagers went back and told others what they saw.
He fucking wrestled with a bear. This
Yeah,
motherfucker. This guy who's an offspring of a human and a fish,
no, a
essentially.
human and an octopus.
Oh, an
He fucked
octopus.
an octopus, which is backwards. I guess this really isn't because we bombed them. So as a whole, it would be women with octopuses normally. This dude fucked an octopus, and they had a dude who then liked killing bears that were actually humans. I'm so confused.
Yeah, see, that's
Like
like
I'm
Wild.
like,
another crazy thing about Pokemon lore is like the whole line between people and Pokemon being blurred. It goes to the point where like somehow there's something in the lore where Pokemon shapeshift into humans as well.
well, that's been even in the games too, which is why that this shit is seen as legitimate too.
Oh yeah,
You
let's
have
see
N,
the
who's supposedly
anime
as a Rourke.
with the Ash Greninja. Is it like something like that?
No, this is that like that's the Ursaring story is like those Ursaring turned into people at night, and then they were Ursaring in the
Oh,
day.
like were Ursuling instead of
Yeah,
werewolves.
and there's
Okay.
also there's a story with Typhlosion where it's kind of the same thing. That a girl's in the forest, finds some dude. The dude's like, "Hey, just don't look at me while I'm sleeping, and I'll take care of you." And then they have a child, and then it turns out the dude was a Typhlosion, and then his or her father kills the Typhlosion.
Oh
And
my
then it goes
fucking
into like
god.
some other deeper lore where wearing the pelt of a Pokemon turns you into a Pokemon. So the villagers tease the girl and her child by like trying to throw Typhlosion pelts on them to turn them into Typhlosion.
What the wait, is there something deeper than this? Is there like I mean, obviously there's those ultra beasts. As soon as those got introduced, I was like, I'm out. There's too much to keep track of. And I know
That's
there's
when the
more
butt
past
plugs came
that.
in.
That's
It doesn't get too much deeper than that. Like the Ultra Beast
okay.
trying to find a meaning, like it's just like what is a Pokemon, what is a person? Apparently back in Generation 4 they were like it's the same thing.
And it's weird. They didn't even like genuinely. There is less weird shit on Reddit than this. And normally Reddit is the place where it's like, okay, that's fucked up. That's the start of where everything gets fucked up is Reddit. Then you have 4chan that's even steps farther than that. Why? Why is Game Freak at the same level as fucking Reddit and 4chan? At least Reddit only writes in one, sex or death, not both, let alone bestiality. The fuck is going on?
Do you have to be this perverted to have a multi-million, maybe multi-billion-dollar property though?
I don't know. I've never
Oh, it's
seen
definitely
Walt Disney's
billions.
notes.
Definitely billions. Yeah, they've made a lot of money. Uh I would imagine that and so man, they really have to flush it out because it's making them so much money to the point where they're I mean, there's
Yeah,
a
I mean
bunch of
yeah.
employees.
At some point there was a crossroads where they were like, do we just go hardcore yokai lore in like how we're taking Pokemon, or do we actually make this a global children's game? And I feel like some representative from America went, "You guys do not understand how large this is. Please do not publish this. You can make billions if you just keep the horny out." And they went, "Fine."
I don't know. I don't know about you guys, but Woody used to say this all the time. Well, sex and death are two of my favorite things. I want it in everything, and I lived by that for such a long time. Where it's like, just have normal life in movies and TV show. Like, show them having sex, show them getting dressed, show that there's like normalcy and place what you're trying to show in real life some way, because those things will showcase it as normal. Therefore, you can understand the character a little better. To me, like even this shit that is fantastical and crazy and not my thing at all, bringing the reality of what the world is to Pokemon is interesting to me. And I don't know why it's interesting, but it brings like it shades that line in between, well, this is real life and that's Pokemon, but Pokemon people never have done anything ever. They're all just like, I'm going to be a master and 10 years old. So, was there an idea to have an actual adult Pokemon game? And why isn't there one? Because that would be fantastic.
I don't
I'm
think there was an
interested.
idea.
I'm interested in like if it's like as complex as the real world, then where are the politicians lying to me in Pokemon?
Damn.
Where's that at? Like you just insert that and then bam, a very very dark Pokemon. You could even introduce guns too,
Now
and
you're
then
just
like
playing Power World.
yeah, well yeah, you can take power out of business.
I mean, they
You
already
know?
have like swords and stuff for carving up Ursaring, and there's guns in the anime.
Oh my god, I
I mean,
can't
my
believe
my
it.
big thing is I don't think they need to take it to like the extreme direction like that, but they should have
Right.
kept in a lot of the lore ideas where it's like, oh, the
Yeah.
idea of like putting a pelt of a Pokemon on someone that turning them into a Pokemon, that should have just been like more explicitly stated and fleshed out. Also, in the leaks, there was more lore on like how Arceus created the universe that went a little bit more in depth.
Well,
So like,
that's good.
I'm just upset that we don't have like this. It takes this to get all the cool things about Pokemon.
Makes you wonder the things that were deleted or removed from those files. If this is the stuff they kept, what was the
Yeah,
stuff
why
they
is this on a
deleted?
hard drive? Like, God, nah, man. You just take that home and never bring it up again.
You brought up last time we did an episode. Oh, there's furries in everything. This makes me feel like you are 100% right that there are furries in every company that makes shit like this.
I have a theory about furries. They're either like NASA scientists, big brain, like they have a ton of money, they have a well-paying job, and so they can afford fursuits and the furry hobby, the furry lifestyle. Or it's like pants shitting, diaper licking people. It's like no in between
Yeah,
is what
that
Oh,
I
that
there
is
is an
find.
in
true.
between.
Can confirm.
I figured out the in between, and you might completely understand where I'm going with this. The in between of the knuckle draggers and furries and the NASA scientists are Native Americans that have been doing it since like the dawn of time. They were the first furries, and they're the normal furries.
I
We've
mean, yeah, they've
normalized it
been
and accepted it
doing
from
it.
them.
Yeah, they've been doing it for like m- so long. It's just like it's not weird to
That
be a
link I posted
furry.
has way too big of a picture.
Yep, it's huge.
Yeah,
So,
it's a
oh
great meme,
boy.
but I guess I need to
Yep, I'll
find
share it.
something more.
I got it. Got it sized down. You're good. Boom. I'll put it over the screen
Perfect.
too. There you go. Back to this one.
Nice.
No, it's just it's the only way that I've been able to put those pieces together is like, okay, so I've asked Verlis multiple times, where does being a furry start? Is it the butt plug? Is it the ears? Is it putting little booties on? I want to know where the line starts. Because there's a
Not
line
those
where
things. That's
you're
not
like a weird person and then you slowly become a furry.
the
Where is
butt
that
plug is
line?
very overstated. That's just a joke.
No, it's not.
Yeah,
No.
that's deeper. That's deeper in both literally
Get
and
it?
figuratively. Yeah.
Nice.
It's
But where
funny,
is the
like,
line?
yeah.
The line is when you're just like, I think that anthro furry babe is cute, or I
So
want
it's
to see that
finding a
bulge of woo.
cartoon attractive. It's not being Mint right now who's dressed up as Sonic.
No,
Is that, you know,
costume
furry
ain't
adjacent?
it. No,
How is that not
even if
furry
that was like a
adjacent?
fox Kigu, that wouldn't be furry
How is that not furry adjacent? I don't understand this
because you
this
have to
line that you
wear
draw
it
in it.
with the identity. It has to have that importance in a different way.
When I wear this, sometimes I'm like, I'm Sonic now. I gotta go fast.
I
Does
come
that make me
fast.
a furry? Yeah.
Nah,
Okay.
that
Gotta
just
come
sounds like an
fast.
autistic thing.
Sounds like there's lots of overlap in that too.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just weird. It's weird to try and find that line where something just goes from being weird to being something specific. And man, that tail is very close to being the answer.
Like 2 inches above the butthole, though. Does that make it furry? Like you just have it clipped
That's a good
onto your
answer.
pants.
I remember there being this. So one of my best friends in high school actually was a furry, I believe. He used to draw porn in high school and everything else and sold it on DeviantArt. His girlfriend for the longest time would wear fucking ears and dress up as Gurr and everything else. I assume both of them were furries because they showcased it that way. She
Yeah.
showcased it by dressing as Gurr and wearing a tail. I think a
I-
tail's the start, man. I really do.
It really
Yeah,
is.
the tail is the start, not the butt plug. You can clip it on. That's what I mean. Like, it has to mean something in a furry way to that person. Like I said, like if you just think foxes are cute and you want to wear a cute fox hoodie, you're not a furry. But if you're just like, if it has more importance to you while you're wearing it and you wear it every day until it smells funny, then you're a furry.
So your description absolutely just proves that Native Americans are furries because their animal identity means something to them.
That's so much deeper and
I got it. I got
so
it,
much
didn't I?
wrong.
No, it's not wrong though. You said it has to mean something to them because you are one of those people that will sit there and say that furries
Yeah, but
doesn't equal
furry
sex.
didn't.
I
The
agree
idea of
with you.
furry didn't exist.
I agree. I'm
They
saying I agree with you.
they
I'm just
weren't
saying that
like
it proves that Native
they
American.
weren't drawing big titty wolf ladies back in Native American times, dude.
But bud, you're the one that says that furry doesn't equal sex.
I know, but
That's
the
my point.
foundation comes from that. Where you need a big titty furry wolf out there, or else it's not furry.
I don't know, man. I couldn't do that. So I couldn't tell you. I just think it's hilarious because it's a weird place to try and figure out where that line is. I think Native Americans are the ones that cross it over. So another hilarious thing that happened this week is Donald Trump worked at fucking McDonald's.
Hilarious.
One of the greatest jokes I've ever seen somebody do on purpose and just shit on somebody. It was the most targeted thing that I giggled at in a very long time.
I think it was in response to someone being like, "You can't work the fry machine. It's the hardest job ever." And as somebody
Yeah,
who was a McDonald's manager at 17, it is not that hard. It's actually one of the easiest jobs to do at McDonald's is the fry machine.
yeah. I worked
No,
fast food.
what started it was he heard that Kamala said, "Hey guys, you know what? I worked at McDonald's and that was my first job. I definitely, wasn't given all my jobs by sucking dick and it was
Oh,
McDonald's."
your
And he said,
impression reminds me that I haven't heard her speak. I've never taken her off of mute ever.
You will never hear the same accent ever out of her. She started a new accent the other day, which was Jamaican. So
Oh my god.
everything ended with "mon" and like, what the fuck is wrong with you? So he's like, guys, just so you know, I'm gonna do the wonderful thing. I'm gonna be the normal man for one time in my life. I'm gonna go work at McDonald's. I'm gonna work the fryers and make sure all of you guys get your chicken McNuggies because Kamala never did it. She's saying she did. She's a liar. So he went and fucking did it. And that's fucking hilarious. That's so
Just
fucking funny. It's the next level troll. It really is.
I don't care about the memes or trolling. I just think it like watching Donald Trump enjoy making fries and like finding pride in doing like normal people work was just so like cool to watch.
Yeah.
it was pretty fun just seeing all the pictures. I'm like, man, this is iconic. He's getting a lot of iconic photos in this one campaign run. Holy shit. He's
The
just like
interesting thing. Sorry, I thought there was a space. Go ahead. I won't cut you off.
I was gonna say there's it's like just shot after shot after shot after shot. Bam, bam, bam. Just like so many iconic photos. There's just gonna be that.
The interesting thing to me is how he genuinely held the same personality from the debate stage or talking shit with somebody and doing a rally. He held that same energy and the same care of the people that are in front of him that went to that McDonald's and he dealt with that day. And that to me was the impressive part. Is like he's like, "Oh, look at this beautiful family, guys. This is wonderful. Look, you're gonna have a fucking burger and it's gonna be fantastic." He like held the same energy that he does at a rally. And like if you work a normal job and you're dealing with people all day, you know how hard that is. You
Oh
know
yeah.
that that's fucking complicated and it's hard to pull yourself away from what the fuck you're doing. And even try and find like, oh yeah, I can listen to music while I'm doing this, or I can hang out and be kind to somebody or talk to somebody for 5 minutes. That to me was the big part. Is like it's showing him to be a human.
Yeah. And like he can listen to somebody explain to him how to use the fry machine, even though it's self-explanatory. It's pretty automated, but he was just looking, and the guy was like explaining. He was looking, and he was not at all being like, "Oh, I know how to do this. I already know how to do this."
Yeah,
Just devoid of ego.
exactly. He was there to like learn and have a moment. And I think that's
And
also why the left got so pissed off because none of their politicians can be human like that for any amount of time.
so comparing the two human things that happened this week, you have Trump working at McDonald's and Kamala having a beer publicly. Which one screams to you, I understand that person a hell of a lot more? It's not Kamala. The answer is
I
not Kamala.
I did not hear about her having a beard this week.
She drank a
So
beer with Stephen Colbert
that's not fucking
and turned
relatable at
into a
all.
Jamaican.
Oh yeah, that was the most uncanny thing I've ever seen. She
It was
can't like she's
uncomfortable.
so fake she can't even drink a beer. She like opened it backwards and took like the frothiest sip imaginable. Went yeah, yeah.
She sucked off the tip of a beer, and that's just uncomfortable.
Ugh, fake people. Yeah, not a big fan. I like
Exactly.
people who are
Democrats would
honest.
never.
It's weird. And Verlis, you brought up that article about Trump
Okay,
actually.
yeah. So there's a story behind this because I have someone I've known in my life since high school. Every day I find it hard and hard to call him a friend because he's like full blown commie. Actually, the other week said I think communism is a good thing. Unironically, he is that cooked. He is that indoctrinated.
That's why.
So
I mean, he hasn't lived in a communist regime. That's why he thinks that.
it can't tell him that. Nope. Like it was never done properly. China and Russia don't count, etc. All that BS. So the he he said I'm the one in the cult because I don't think Kamala won the debate versus Trump, and it's objective. Like it's objective fact. Kamala stunted on Trump in that debate. And his proof was a Fox News article. Can you pull up the article?
I
Is that
can't.
got it?
I don't allow ads.
Oh, all right, yeah, that makes sense.
Yep.
The funny thing is, I pulled it up and there's a G Fuel ad. I'm getting targeted in the correct way.
Look at you
But
getting targeted. Use code RMTS at checkout. Number one honey sponsorship.
so he sent me this and he said, "Yeah, but even Fox News viewers thought that Kamala beat Trump." And it's a actually let's put the article into chat so then Mint can see
Yeah.
it. So you can open that up and see what's going on. So he shared me this. He's like, this proves that Kamala won. The polls say so. Even Fox viewers agree. And then I scrolled down to the bottom, and it says the survey includes a sample of 1,100 randomly selected voters. That was a joint research operation between a Democrat and research, like polling research group. And I was like, these aren't Fox News voters. And then the more you get into it, there's like a graph. Actually, we can show the graph and then take a
Yep.
picture of that.
Yeah. Send me the image and I'll
Yeah,
post it up.
I'll send you a Gaza so people can see this.
Yep.
And then so like there's this where it just kind of shows like, oh, here's what people had to say about the debate. And you can clearly see which side chose what. Where it's like, oh, 30% of Democrats think that Kamala got an A in that debate, and then 36% got like say that Trump got an
This
F.
is this is the big one. Is this number right here doesn't equal this number. So as a whole, some Democrats said that she shit the bed
Well,
too.
no, it's not about that. And the big
I,
thing is like I think it just kind of shows like how reasonable people are. Like a Trump voter or a conservative will look at that debate and go like, yeah, Trump didn't get an A, but Kamala didn't get an F. Whereas a Democrat goes, Kamala always gets an A, Trump always gets an F. And I was like, that's what this proves. And then
yep,
because
that's
the
exactly what
article
it proves.
exactly, and because the article my friend showed me debunks him because he thought it was like he thought these were actually Fox viewers like in the poll saying Kamala gets an A. And now it actually just proves that the Democrats are deranged. He just can't cope. And that pissed me
So
off.
I guess a whole bunch of people during the past elections in Europe, especially Britain, started not voting, betting on elections and stuff. I don't know about how much of this you guys followed and stuff like that, but I guess they were doing that and it was pretty effective at showcasing who was going to win, even when there wasn't a limit on how much you could bet. So you could bet billions of dollars if you chose to, because it's going to increase the eyes on that person. And then all of a sudden it becomes more likely that they might win. Since that debate itself, Trump has cleared 65% of the betting odds for the presidential election. Kamala's down to 35 when they were
Ooh.
dead equal going into it.
Yikes.
Fucking insane. To the point where everybody's like, oh, that's not real. That's not how that works.
Didn't
Guys,
Hillary have 90% betting odds though?
no, it dumped at the end. It
No, I
started
think like
becoming more and more equal.
I think she always held like crazy betting odds.
But it's weird looking at those things where it's like, okay, no, there's connectivity to that. Nobody's going to risk their money on something unless they feel like there's such a payoff to it. But everybody's complaining right now because somebody dumped $10 million on Trump. And it's like, guys, on both of them he's leading, not just the
Yep.
unlimited uncapped one. So obviously, with this being the spooky season, I wanted to have one spooky question. And Verlis, I don't even know what your answer is going to be for this.
I actually do not have an answer.
What is your favorite horror franchise?
I watch zero horror movies and franchises. I am tapped out. I have no input into this.
So obviously, fucking camera. I have Jason tattooed on me. Jason, out of the main three, is my favorite. But
What
I
are the
do have
main
a
three to
second one.
you?
Jason, Michael Myers, and Freddy.
Okay. Out of
And then I guess there's a main four because they include Chucky in most of those conversations and images and all that stuff.
man, I don't know. It's hard. It's hard. I think over like consistently like viewer experience wise, I enjoy the Nightmare on Elm Street movies the most. I've only seen up to 3. So there's that.
Oh, you haven't even
I've
seen my favorite one yet
ooh,
out of those. The New Nightmare is the best one.
okay. And then I've watched up to part 5 of Friday the 13th. I mean, I feel I didn't really like part 4 to part 5 that much. It just felt kind of the same as the other ones. But there's Tommy, so that's cool. Um, I think yeah, it has to be Nightmare on Elm Street. Although Halloween is such a weird franchise. I just got done watching Halloween 3 Season of the Witch, which is the only one
Not
without
the
Michael
story at all.
Myers.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's bizarre. It's
Yep.
it's so weird.
I remember hearing about it. They're like, yeah, so number 3 means absolutely nothing. And it's like, no, all 3 of them have movies that do that. You have Jason Goes to Hell, which is Jason is a fucking snake that makes out with you and turns you into a demon. You have uh the the second Nightmare on Elm Street when it goes super, super like gay in gay quotes. That's what Robert Englund said he did with the character on purpose. And then you have number 3 of Halloween. None of them fit the characters. None of them tell a story. It's just canon. That's all it is. And it's weird.
Yeah, horror movies are weird. It's hard for me to be like, oh, this one is definitively my favorite because they all have parts from each franchise that I like, and then some parts that I don't like from each franchise. But holistically, I'd say Nightmare on Elm Street, the series, I like the most.
Yeah, I think if you like being scared, you're probably gonna like Nightmare on Elm Street more. If you're more of a shut-in kind of person, you're gonna like Halloween more. And if you like funny things that are like, that's fucking stupid, how the fuck does that work? You're probably gonna like Friday the 13th the most.
Oh yeah.
But my favorite horror movie altogether is probably Saw, if it's not Jason.
Which Saw movie?
I like the first 5, like the first set of them. Like once Jigsaw dies, it kind of goes downhill. But that's kind of like the set that I'm like, yeah, those 5 movies are fantastic. 6 movies, whatever it is. I don't
I don't.
remember exactly what number he
I've.
died in.
He died both in 3 and 4.
Okay, so it's 4.
Yeah.
But
So it's. I don't like gore that much, but I
yeah, it
do
doesn't
like
bother me. This
I do like the story of the first one. I think the second one is just kind of boring, and then it starts picking up from there. I'm like 3 is like, oh okay.
the
So
second one's the canon story to prove how negative and shitty somebody can be for 3, 4, and 5.
I guess that's
Because
a
you have
good.
Amanda.
Yeah, she's like the first accomplice, and then like in
Yep.
5, it's like, oh, there's a third accomplice, by the way. It's like, oh my goodness, what the fuck? He's dead. Stop it. Stop with this games.
But the base
It's
story of those movies in that series is fantastic. It is so set in like it feels grungy in real life at a way that most people genuinely do not understand if you just, watch it or you don't experience life. The fact that he's like, people are disturbed, people are broken. So I'm going to show them that how to be a real person because I've lost everything. And I lost everything because people are disturbed and disgusting and only care about themselves. That is fantastic. That great fucking story.
I mean, I like the lesson behind Saw. It's hilarious how it's like, oh, you gotta value your life. And I feel like the core message kind of changes between its Saw, but they're underlying like, oh, value your life. Um,
Mhm.
um, but it's funny to me how what John could just be on a high horse, like, hey, you've ruined my life. I'm going to choose who gets to play my games. But I think he's a serial killer. There's the debate that
Mhm.
he's not, but he is in my mind because
No,
he's
if you put somebody into
facilitating
the
the
game and they
games.
die, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
So I'm
But
like, dude, you're doing a moral judgment, but when you do murders yourself, it's like you're
it
not the
e-
guy to judge people.
it even brings it out to a more vague philosophical question that Kyle and PK talks about all the time. At what point does your quality of life no longer cause you to want to live? In every single one of those games, it's like, okay, I'll be disfigured in this way. I won't work in this way. I won't have an arm. At what point is it worth it more to just say I'm done now instead of play the game?
Um, I mean, if
N-
it depends on if I use the limb a lot. Like
Mhm.
if you cut off my left hand, it'd be an inconvenience. But if you cut off my right hand, I'm dying. I'm just going to go right in front of a truck and just end it there. Cause this is the most important thing that I have. And also my eyes too.
It's just so weird. There's one I don't remember if it's 4 or 5, and this dude is a repo man. He works in insurance, and he's just like he's one of those scumbags that you don't want to deal with. And the entire story is you watch him kind of become a human again. In one of them, he has to stick his hand in to save people from a tilt-a-whirl that turns them around and they get shot with a shotgun. He has to
Hmm.
put his hand in a drill bit and it goes down and drills his hand. It's like, fuck. And at the end, he has to face his kid and his wife or his mistress, and everybody finds out all at the same time. And it's like so choreographed and perfectly timed that it's like that's fucking insane.
I
It's just like,
appreciate the
damn.
craft behind it. I'm I mean, it's also the reason I don't like gory movies is the same reason I don't I'm not a medical person. Like, I'm not in the medical field. I'm
Which is
squeamish.
gross.
I see a drop of blood or anything inside the human body. I'm like, no. So
It's weird. Horror is a weird franchise kind of group of genre. I mean, I remember watching this movie. I think the name of the movie was called Blood Creek. It's one of the only movies that I've ever turned off because it was bad and not because I was bored. Got about 15 minutes into it, fell asleep. Woke up about 5, 10 minutes later, and we're in a cabin. And this is a really dusty, dirty cabin that these people, I guess, rented for some reason. I was like, oh, this is Friday the 13th-esque. We're in some weird ass cabin near what's called Blood Creek, and people are going to die probably. Nope. It zooms out from the cabin, and you're thud 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 thud, and it zooms back in, and a fucking decapitated horse head is flying around and banging on the door. Like, no, no, none of this, none of this. I'm just done. I'm done now. I'm done. You put a decapitated horse head that's psychotic and flying around. Sure, whatever. No, I'm done. This is stupid.
stole it straight from Godfather.
I don't fucking understand. I don't understand. There are so many horror movies that are just absolute ass.
Yeah, I hear it's the one that has the worst movies, but it's also the easiest to get into if you're like an indie
Mhm.
person. Just
Yeah,
horror
because
movies.
everything's cheap.
Oh yeah.
Like writing a rom-com, I'm sure is fucking hell. You have to actually have a story. Horror
And you
movies, you can just
also
kill people.
yeah, you gotta have the actor and actress be really good in the rom-com or else I'm not watching it at all. I hate
Unless it's Ryan
rom-com.
Reynolds, I don't believe it.
Yes, exactly.
If it's not the proposal, it's not believable. I'm sorry. Speaking about that, you wanna know the crazy thing?
Hmm.
You wanna know women's biggest fucking thing that they don't realize is their thing? Absolutely. Every woman loves movies and stories about cheating. Think about 95% of rom-coms, The Notebook. It is a story about cheating throughout the entire fucking thing. Any fucking movie that is a rom-com that is directed towards females is cheating.
It
Every
Are
single
really
one.
women
is.
being cheated on all the time?
Yes,
Well,
and
we're
so they're
we're talking about
flipping it
like
and
if you
being
just think about a lot of movies where it's just like, oh, the husband is bad because he's going on a business trip, and then the guy that's kind of been crushing on her is the one that gets all the attention in the movie.
every single one. It's sad. It's one of the hardest genres to break into, but it is hilarious how straightforward those stories are. All of them are the female falls in love with the best friend that never should have been, and the friend zoned guy that they should have dated 16 years ago.
They're so formulaic. Why do chicks like that? I don't get it. Like I've never understood female cinema, female interests really. I didn't grow up with like interested in female cinema or having female interests really. I didn't know how to do my makeup until I was 21. Like that level
Me
of
either.
I don't get it. Nice.
I still don't.
Nice.
Haven't been
Um
on camera yet.
wait, who's on camera now?
Oh, I was saying that I don't put on makeup because I'm not on
Oh,
camera.
okay. Okay. Okay.
It's stupid. There's so many things that you can boil down to one thing, but the fact that so many people are against cheating and everything else, but if you look at all of the movies women watch, it's either crime dramas or cheating documentaries, and it's like, what the fuck is this? It's
I'm
fucking
not in
hilarious.
uh, I swear I don't get the appeal. Like I hear women's interested in true crime. I'm like, I don't care about somebody who died. It's I how does this pertain to my life? I want to know something about like something that could benefit me in the future. Not like, oh, some dramatic story about how a boyfriend and a girlfriend got into a fight and the boyfriend got pushed over the balcony. Oh no! Like by the
And
girlfriend.
And all of them don't have enough logic in their brain to figure out exactly who it is and what's happened. So they're like, guys, guess what? Now I know how to do all of this by myself, and you'll never figure it out. It's like, you should never say that again. That will get you in a shit ton of trouble. Please don't.
You should always consult somebody. That's like how to avoid 85% of problems.
Just avoid people. Yes, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Not go towards people because you know how to handle them if there's a problem. Meanwhile, all these girls are like 5 foot nothing, weigh 120 pounds, and they're like, I could take care of a full grown man if I want to.
No, 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 no. I don't think I can take care of a man. Like if they're huge, no. I mean, maybe I'd go for their legs, but that's because I'm 5'7", and I did 4 years of taekwondo. But even then, I'm like, man, I'm going to avoid those tall, big guys. Like, I'm just going to be on the other side of the street because
If a woman
I don't
needs to
know.
take a man, just hitting the nuts is fair. That's
Yeah,
all.
Yeah.
That's all
exactly.
your gameplay. That's all you need. Don't go for the legs.
All right, and hit him in the nuts. I
Yeah.
was like crouched down and uppercut if I need it.
Exactly. You Soryuken that shit.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, go check out Mint. We'll see you fucking later. Use code RMTS to check out on G Fuel and go check out the merch. We'll see you fucking next time.
Autisticboobs.com. That's where you can find me.
Always.